Hi, Mrs. Guffrey here. Today we are learning to divide a fraction by a whole number. The materials you will need are a pencil, paper, and then if you have colored pencils, you can use those as well. But you don't need them, but if you have them, that would be great. As we go through our lesson today, we're going to ask ourselves, what can I draw to help me figure this problem out? And then, what is my picture telling me and what equation matches it? Also for today's lesson, I want you to do the work with me. So at times I'm going to say pause. What that means is I want you to pause the video, do the work, and then hit play and continue the lesson. So let's read this problem together. Kelly gives some pans of cake to her 3 friends to share equally, and there are her 3 friends in the video. If she has 3 pans of cake, how many pans of cake will each friend receive? So thinking back to our page before, we ask ourselves, what can we draw? Well, what information do I know? I know she has 3 pans of cake. Go ahead, pause, and draw those 3 pans of cake now. So when we draw our 3 pans of cake, we have 1, 2, 3. And we can see here that looks like maybe a chocolate cake, a cookie cake. It says happy birthday, but we have 3 full cakes. So I'm going to go and I'm going to color those in because they are 3 full cakes. Go ahead and color yours in. Because I'm doing this with a mouse, my coloring's not staying between the lines, but that's okay. Mathematicians don't always stay between the lines. Okay, so if I'm going to share those with my friends equally, and this is friend A, friend B, and friend C, what would each person get? Well, friend A would get this whole cake, friend B would get this whole cake, and friend C would get this whole cake. I have enough. What equation matches this that each person would get 1 cake? Let's think about what we know in the problem. Well, I have 3 pans of cake. Remember, I want to make sure I'm labeling my equations so they match my picture. I have 3 pans of cake that I'm dividing equally amongst 3 friends. This is taking me a little while to write, but that's okay. And so then how many pans of cake does each friend get? Right, they get 1 pan of cake. And for pan of cake, I'm not going to write that out. I'm just going to put P for pan and C for cake. My equation matches my picture. Let's keep going with this idea of Kelly making cake and giving it to her friends. Okay, so in this one, Kelly still has some cake, and she wants to share them equally with her 3 friends. If she has 1 pan of cake, how many pans of cake will each friend receive? So let's think, what's different about this one? Well, in this problem, we only have 1 pan of cake. So let's go and let's draw what we know. Well, we know there is 1 pan of cake. So I have my 1 pan. Let's make sure we label. And what am I doing to this pan? Well, I'm sharing it equally with my 3 friends, friend A, friend B, and friend C. Go ahead. I want you to show in your picture how you would, if you were Kelly, how you would share this pan with your 3 friends. Pause. Okay, so we have 1 full pan of cake here. And then I bet some of you went, and if you're going to share it, you have to cut it equally. So then person A would get this piece, person B would get this piece, and person C would get this piece. So we're thinking, what size piece did person A get of the whole pan? Well, she gets this piece. And what size fraction of the whole pan did she get? Well, she received 1/3 of the whole pan. Let's look over here. So in the previous problem, we had 3 pans of cake divided with 3 people. Each person got 1 pan of cake. But now, what equation matches this picture? How many pans of cake do we have? We have 1 pan of cake, and we're dividing it amongst 3 people. What size piece did each person get? They got 1/3 of the pan of cake. Does my equation match my picture? It does. Okay, let's keep going. Now, Kelly gives some pan of cake again to her 3 friends to share equally. If she has 1/2 pans of cake, how many pans of cake will each friend receive? So this time, take a look at this picture. What do you notice? She doesn't have a full pan of cake. So let's go and let's draw her cake in a tape diagram. So here's my pan of cake, but this time it's not a full cake, it's only a half a cake. So what do I need to do? I need to show that. So I'm going to go, and when I make this, I'm going to color half. We're still going to want to make sure we label, because mathematicians label their thinking and always stay in the story. So what is this in our story? This is 1 pan, okay, of cake. What's this section? This is the half that has cake. What about this, though, section right beside it? What about this 1/2? What label would you put that? I want you to take a second and label this section. I'm sure some of you went and wrote empty. Remember, if we look at our picture here, this pan is still there, but now this part is empty. And I want to know, the question's asking us, how many pans, or how much of the pan is each friend going to receive now? So when I'm doing this problem, I'm thinking about the size of the piece they're going to get. So, if this is your cake, if you were Kelly, how would you share those with your 3 friends up here? Go ahead, pause, and show how you would share this cake with your 3 friends. Okay, so if I'm going to share this with 3 friends, and this is my cake, person A is going to get this piece, person B is going to get this piece, and my friend C is going to get this piece. But remember, I want to know about the size piece they're going to get. And I need to think about that in relation to the whole pan. So if I think about person A, and I want to know what size piece this is of the whole pan, well, I need to cut the whole pan, even though it's not there. So I'm going to go over. And now that I've cut the entire pan, even though this part's empty, it's like invisible cuts, now I can see that person A will get 1/6 of the entire pan of cake. So now we're going to think, what equation matches this picture? Well, let's think. How much of cake did I start out with? I started out with 1/2 pans of cake. I am still sharing that with my 3 friends. So what size piece does each friend receive? They get 1/6 of the pan of cake. Because again, we're thinking about the size piece the person gets. Now, I want you to read this one with me. Kelly gives some pans of cake to her 3 friends to share equally. If she has 1/3 pans of cake, how many pans of cake will each of her friends receive? I want you to try this problem on your own. Go ahead, hit pause, and then come on back. Okay, so this time we still have 1 pan of cake. We want to make sure we label that work. We'll just put 1 pan. But what do we know about this 1 pan of cake? It is only 1/3 full. So I'm only going to shade in 1/3 of that. So this is my 1/3 of the pan that has cake. And what would I label this section here? Well, that section is empty. Okay, so if I have a 1/3 pan of cake here and I want to share it equally with my 3 friends, what would I need to do? Well, I would need to cut it up into 3 parts so everyone gets a piece. Person A, person B, and person C. But again, I want to know about the size of the piece that they get. I know they're going to get a piece, but what size is this piece right here of the whole pan? Well, that means I have to cut the whole pan, even though that section is empty. So what size piece does each friend receive of the whole pan? Take a look at our picture. They receive 1/9 of the whole pan. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to look at the work that we've done so far. What patterns are you noticing? I'm sure some of you noticed, well, it's the same amount of people. And take a look here at the amount of cake each person gets. Why do you think that the amount of cake each person gets keeps getting smaller? I want you to think about that. And I'm going to ask you to reflect in your Seesaw post. One thing I want to remind you about Seesaw is to read the directions carefully and to answer each question fully. Some of us are only doing part of the problems, and we need to do each problem fully. Here is your Seesaw assignment. It will also be posted on Seesaw, or you can text me your answers. I can't wait to hear from you.